All right, ד.ב-ה.ב. ד.ב-ה.ב. We're going to do a summary because it's connected to what we learned last week. So the Mishnah started off saying that Chodesh Nisan is a Chodesh for the Golem. Nisan is the Rosh Hashana for the Yom Tovim. The Gemarrah asks the question right away: if the first Yantif falls out on Tes Vav, on the 15th day of that month, why is Rosh Chodesh Nisan the Rosh Hashana? It should be 15th of Nisan is Rosh Hashana. The Gemarrah answers yes, that is true. The Mishnah wanted to say that the Chodesh Nisan is the first day of the month in which the 15th day is the Rosh Hashana for Yom Tov. The Gemarrah asks, what difference does it make for us to know that the Pesach is the first Yom Tov, the Rosh Hashana of all the Yom Tovim? So the Gemarrah answers, it goes according to ד.ב-ה.ב. And what is it talking about? That there is a halacha that if you pledge anything for the Beis Hamikdash, you have to pay it back. It says, if you make a neder, if you make a vow to pledge something, you should not delay its payment. Now, the Torah doesn't say at what point do you get an invoice in the mail past due. It doesn't say when it comes past due. So there's a machlokes, 5 opinions. One opinion is any one yontif. As soon as you make a pledge, the first yontif that hits your oivel. One opinion is has to be a specific one yontif, but a specific yontif has to be sukkos. So it could be it's 3 Yom Tovim, because if you pledge it right after sukkos, you have to wait till the next sukkos. One opinion is that it's 2 Yom Tovim, any 2 Yom Tovim. One opinion is that it's 3 Yom Tovim, but any 3 doesn't make a difference to the order. And one opinion is it has to be 3 and has to be in order: Pesach, Shavuos, Sukkos. And according to the last opinion that we just mentioned, Pesach, Shavuos, and Sukkos, that's why it's important to know when is Rosh Hashana for the Golem, because it goes according to ד.ב-ה.ב. And we mentioned, okay, what's the reasoning behind why do these people, these Tanoim, each have a different deadline or due date for the Korban? So there's a pasuk that says by laning we read a whole thing about Pesach, Shavuos, and Sukkos, and then the Torah continues and says, Shalish pam b'shana lokal zechocha, 3 times you should come up. Chagamatz, Chagashuva, Chagasukos. So Tanakama that says you have up to 3 Yom Tovim, and ד.ב-ה.ב. that says you have to have 3 Yom Tovim, and Sukkos is the last one, and the ד.ב-ה.ב. the son of ד.ב-ה.ב. says it has to be Dafke Chagasukos. They all say from this pasuk Chagamatzes, Chagashuos, Chagasukos, and they all say you just mentioned all 3 Yom Tovim. Why does the Torah have to repeat itself again? Chagamatzes, Chagashuos, Chagasukos. But everyone does it a little bit different. The Tanakama says all 3 are redundant. Chagamatzes, Chagashuos, Chagasukos are redundant. Why is the Torah repeating itself? Because it wants to tell you that these 3, you have to wait. That if 3 Yom Tovim pass by and you didn't pay up your Kalban, you're oivel. What's the connection, by the way, with a Kalban and with bringing a Kalban and Yom Tov? Because in general, whenever you came to Beis Hamikdash, you should bring al Kalban. It says that Shalmei Avio, Maseches, Nidvasechem, Tumosyetchem, all the pledges that you do throughout the year, so it's usually attached to Yom Tov. Everyone agrees that it's attached to Yom Tov. Tanakama says any 3 Yom Tovim. Why? Because Chagamatzes, Chagashuos, Chagasukos is a redundant few words, because we just mentioned all the Yom Tovim. Why is it repeating it? To tell you that if you pass by 3 Yom Tovim again after you pledge something, you're over bal ta'achar, you are over on the Aveda of delaying the Korban. Rab Shimon, that says also 3, but it says the last one has to be Sukkos. He says, really the truth is that the most redundant is Sukkos. The Torah spoke about Pesach, the Torah spoke about Shavuos, the Torah finishes with Sukkos, and then the Torah says, Chagamatz, Chagashuos, Chagasukos. I just mentioned Sukkos. Mela, the first 2, maybe he just recaps. I mentioned Chagamatzes, I mentioned Chagashuos, I mentioned Chagasukos. I want to recap that Chagamatzes, Chagashuos, and the last one that I mentioned, you have to go up to the Beis Hamikdash. But what's really redundant is Chagasukos. We just mentioned Chagasukos. Why do you say Chagasukos again? To tell you that 3 Yom Tovim, if you pass by 3 Yom Tovim, you'll be oivel on Baal Ta'achar, that you're delaying the Korban. However, because Chagasukos is redundant, tells you that the last one has to be Chagasukos. That's ד.ב-ה.ב. Then comes the ד.ב-ה.ב. and he says that only Sukkos, because the same thing. It says Chagamatzes, Chagashuos, and Chagasukos. And he says Chagasukos is redundant. I don't care what Chag HaMatzos, Chag HaShavuos. The reason why I mentioned Chag HaMatzos, Chag HaShavuos is because I mentioned Chag HaMatzos, Chag HaShavuos in the beginning of the chapter. Now I want to repeat myself, so I say Chag HaMatzos, Chag HaShavuos again. But Chag HaSukkos I just mentioned, that's redundant, to teach you that it's all about Chag HaSukkos. If Chag HaSukkos passes by and you had a pledge, an outstanding pledge, you owe about Teach. That's the Pshat. ד.ב-ה.ב says any one yontif that passes by doesn't make a difference. Where does he learn from? He learns from, it says in Pasuk, Uvasa Shama, that he should go to Eretz, and then it's supposed to Avesen Shama over there. You should bring my Maseches and the Seichem. You should bring all your kabbanas. So anytime you come to the Beis Hamikdash during Yontif, you have to bring those kabbanas. That's what the Meir says. So any Yontif doesn't make a difference. Shua, Sukkos, Pesach doesn't make a difference. Blatt ben Yaakov says two Yom Tovim. He learns it from the word Moyadechem. Moyadechem means Yom Tovim, plural. The minimum of plural is two. Okay, but the Gemara always, if someone learns it from one pasuk, the other one learns it from the other pasuk, now we have to find out what's the other do with the psukim. So that's what the Gemara is asking. The Gemara is asking, what is the Tanakam, Reb Shimon, and Abelazar Reb Shimon, what did they do with the pasuk of Vasa Shama Veis Mishama? The Meir says of Vasa Shama Veis Mishama teaches you any yantif. What do you do with Vasa Shama Veis Mishama? That when you come to the Beis Hamikdash, you have to bring a korban. So the answer to that is to teach you that if you bring a korban, you have a mitzvah paying up your korbanos. If you come and you bring a korban, you have an extra mitzvah, a essa. You've got an extra point. And the Gemara says that Meir learns it from it by itself. Then Elazar ben Yaakov tells you Moyadechem, that Tiyum Tovim, I'm only allowing you to pass by Tiyum Tovim, and then you're over on delaying the korban. Then Balta'achan. What does Tanakam and Elazar ben Shimon do with Moyadechem? The answer is, like I mentioned last week, that there is the halacha that a korban musaf. What does a korban musaf a shchedish come to be mechaper on a certain sin of that tzibur? All the different korban musaf, everyone is to mechaper something else. Moyadechem is teaching you that whenever you bring a korban musaf, it's not only mechaper on that aveda, but it's mechaper on all the other avedas and all the other musafs. Moyadechem. What we are left with is trying to find out. We had a redundancy of Chag HaMatzos, Chag HaShavuos, Chag HaSukkos. Tanakama, Reb Shimon, and Elazar ben Shimon teach it in order to teach us that one yontif, or three Yom Tovim, or three Yom Tovim in order. What is it a man of Elazar ben Yaakov going to do with Chag HaMatzos, Chag HaShavuos, Chag HaSukkos? It's redundant. We just mentioned it. Why do they? What are you going to do with it? That's where we're holding. If you see the Taisus Ein Tzarech Loim Chag HaShavuos, Chag HaSukkos, Shaboy Kosav Medaba, move over to the Gemarrah. There's a date of the Meir of Elazar ben Yaakov. Hay b'Chag HaMatzos, Chag HaShavuos, Chag HaSukkos, May Da Shabei. That's what we're holding. The Meir and Elazar ben Yaakov. What are they going to do with the psukim, with the words Chag HaMatzos, Chag HaShavuos, Chag HaSukkos? What are they learning from those words? May Da Shabei. They learn it just like Elazar ben Yaakov learned. If you look at the small vav, or maybe it's a zayin in different Gemaras, it sends you to the Maseches Rosh, which is the top one in the middle. Maseches Rosh, that tells you that this Gemara we actually learned Chagiga. Vav says Chagiga Yud Zayin Moed Katan Chavdal. We had it twice already in a row. In Chagiga and Moed Katan. This entire of the next couple lines we had already. But that's the mile of Gemara. That's by the way to say. Why do you have to say the Hadran at the end of the Gemara? Because the thing is like this: when you learn Daf base, okay, you know Daf base. When you learn Daf Gimel, you forget Daf base. So you come to the end of the Gemara. How are you going to forget the last Daf? You do have Lamed Dalet, you forgot Lamed Gimel. You do have Lamed Hey, you forgot Lamed Dalet. How are you going to forget Lamed Hey? So I said, I have in order to forget the Lamed Hey. But anyways, so what does the Gemara say? They're coming to learn, they're going to learn from Chag HaMatzos, Chag HaShavuos, Chag HaSukkos, the concept of Tashlum and making up a korban. We have a halacha that comes Yontif, Pesach, you have to bring a korban Pesach. That's a side note. Besides that, you have to bring a oila sereia. You have to bring a korban oila that you come to see the Eibishter. The Eibishter is seeing you. That's another korban. In addition to that, you have to bring a shalmei chagiga. You have to bring a korban pashat shlamim for the yontif. So you have to bring 3 korbanos on Pesach, and the other yontif you have to bring 2 oila sereia and shalmei chagiga. What if you can't make it on the first day of Sukkot? Can't come. So you can come Cholamoid, the first day Cholamoid, second day, third day, fourth day, fifth day, sixth day. You can make it up. Pesach, the same thing. If you couldn't make it on the first day of Pesach. For some reason, you were chayla, you were sick, you couldn't make it, you couldn't bring Korban Pesach, so you show up as soon as you feel better. First day of Chabayit, you show up in the Beis Hamikdash. Can you then bring the Kol B'Chagiga, the Shalom B'Chagiga? So the answer is yes. You have the whole Pesach to bring the Shalom B'Chagiga. You have the whole Sukkot, including Shmini Atzeres, to bring the Korbanos of Sukkot. What about Shavuos? Shavuos is only one day. If you're not feeling well that he couldn't make it that day, can he come the day after Shavuos? Yitzchak. So the Gemara is going to tell you, yes, we have the concept of Tashlumim, of 6 days of Tashlum, 6 days of making up. Yeah, exactly. That's why we don't say Tachlum. So the Gemara says, how do we know that there's 6 days of making up? Talmud Loiman. How do we know that it says you can make it up all its 7 days, including the day of the first day of Shavuos, and plus 6 days? Talmud Loima v'chag hamatzos v'chag Shavuos v'chag Sukkos. It says in pasuk, and it's redundant to say, repeat itself. Chag hamatzos, chag Shavuos, chag Sukkos. Why is it saying it? Makish chag Shavuos v'chag hamatzos. We'll compare Shavuos to chag hamatzos, to Pesach. Ma chag hamatzos yeshel tashum kol shiva. Just like Pesach, you can make it up for the 7 day of for the 7 days of Pesach. Shavuos also, you have the day of Shavuos plus 6 days to make up the Korban. So that's a very simple question. Sukkot, you have 7 days of Sukkot and the 8th day of Shmini Atzeres. Pesach, you have first day of Pesach plus 6. Sukkot, you have 1 plus 6 days of Chol Hamoed and then plus another one of Shmini Atzeres. So if you're comparing Chag Shavuos, which is sandwich between Chag HaMatzos and Chag Sukkos, why are you comparing it to Chag HaMatzos? Maybe give it an extra day compared to Sukkot. Just like Sukkot has 1 plus 7 days, say that Shavuos also has 1 day of Shavuos plus another 7 days, and it would be no tachon until you'd gimel sivan. Maybe say that just like Sukkot, you have 8 days to make it up. You should also be able to make it up for 8 days on Shavuos. And for the Gemarrah, the first answer is that Shmini Atzeres is its own yontif, so it cannot be counted. And because it's own yontif, you cannot make up on that day Shmini Atzeres. You cannot make up any karbanos. The Gemarrah is going to ask, that's not true. You could make up a karbanos Shmini Atzeres. Fight the Gemarrah. When do we say that Shmini Atzeres is its own yontif? Le'inyan Pazar Kashab. In a moment, we're going to say what that is. For these 6 things, Pazar Kashab, Avol in Tashlum, when it comes to make up a Korban, they will hacker Tashlum in the Rishon, and Shmini Atzeres, you can bring a Korban that you missed on the first day. That's Tanam, because we learned in the Mishnah, whoever missed the first day of Yontif, he can go the entire 7 days, and not only that, V'yontif Achron on the 8th day as well. So you could bring a Korban Tashlumin. So why don't you learn Chag Shavuos and Chag Sukkos? Just like Chag Sukkos, you have 8 days to make it up. Shavuos should also have 8 days to make it up. And for the Gemarrah, Tefastamur v'lo tefasta. Tefastamur tefasta is a concept, is a klal. It's a concept that if you have the ability to learn something and learn a little or learn a lot from a pasuk or from something, you grab the smaller thing because you're going to stick with that. If you grab too much, you're not gonna get there. If you were on the bike chat, if you guys on the bike chat, that was mentioned today. This concept was mentioned. It's fast the movement of fast was mentioned today. Anyways, what's Pazar Kashab? So Pazar is like this: on Sukkot, you bring 70 korbanos, Shivim Palim. There's 20. We learned in Talmud that there's 24 Mishmaris Akuna. There's 24 groups of Kahanim. So throughout the year, each one has a week, 2 weeks throughout the year. Comes Yontif, they all divide. They get the Yontif gets divided by itself. You have 70 kabbanas, and you have 24 mishmaras. You can't divide 70 by 24. It's not an even number. So what do? 22 of the mishmaras, each bring three of the oxen, three palim. 22 times 3 is 66. So you're left with 4. The last 2, each one gets 2. So they make who is going to agree to only bring 2 kabbanas? So they have to make a raffle. So they make a pies, they make a raffle. So now, technically, you could say, Shmini Atzeres, you bring another Korban, Par Echod. So divide... Included in the... Yes, be included. Divide 71 by 24. At least 23 Mishmaras. Each will bring 3, and 1 will be the one that's going to only bring 2. The Gemarrah says, no. Shmini Atzeres regel b'fnei atzmoi, and pious b'fnei atzmoi. You make its own raffle. So it could be that one of the Mishmaras is going to bring 4 Korbanos, and one of and the rest is going to be the 3, and then the 2 going to be 2, or it could be 23 will end up being. But basically, Pais, that's pay. Pais b'fnatzmei. Zayin is Zman. You say Shechianu. Shmin Atzeres is Shechianu. Reish, I'm going according to the Asher right now. Reish is Regel b'fnei Atzmoi, that it's on Yontif. Tosis explains what does Rashi mean when saying Regel b'fnei Atzmoi. By davening and by benching, you say Shmini Atzeres Chag Hazeh.
Do the snags eat in the sukkah?
No. Kashav, what's Kashav? Kuf is for Kalban, that Shmini Atzeres being its own Kalban, Pal Echad, Ayil Echad, Shir Poem, etc. Shin is Shir, a song, a specific song. Rashi says it's not clear, but in Tosefta, in Maseches Sofim, it says they did say Lam Natzech ala Shminis. And the base is the B'dacha. Rashi says, what's the B'dacha? They benched the king. On Shmini Atzeres, it was a special thing that all the Yidden, Vayvolchu Samelach, they benched the king. That's what Rashi says. Tosis disagrees, and it says like this. Pious, he agrees, the Pious stands for Pious. Zayin is Man, he says Shechianu. Reish means Regel, not for benching. Rashi says it's benching. Tosis says no. Regel could be 2 things. One of the things could be sleeping over in Yerushalayim. Shmini Atzeres, it's a yontif for itself, so you have to go bring a kolban technically. And the halacha is that if you bring a kolban, you have to sleep the night after bringing the kolban. Or for Nisa Baboika, the pasuk says that in the morning you wake up, and that's when you go home. You have to, if you bring a kolban, you have to sleep over in Yerushalayim. That's the halacha. So as it says, the reish is regel b'fnei atzmai, that if you bring a kolban Shmini Atzeres, you have to sleep the night motzi yontif and only go home Yisro Chag. Or regel b'fnei atzmai could be linen of Avelus. We learned that if a yontif comes in, that the Avelus gets broken up, and it's negiyat to shloishim. That if technically Sukkot the first days and Shmini Atzeres could be considered 14 days. If someone dies on Erev Yontif, your shloishim would be 21 days later, not 30 days later, because the whole Sukkot is considered 14 days. So it's much it's what's it called? It's 7 plus another 14, so it's 21 days. And he says actually interesting that ד.ב-ה.ב in his nusach of Ma'ariv he says that Shmini Atzeres is what? Kodesh Lelino, it's holy that the people have to sleep over. Or shloishim yitchem, and if kasher avelim menachel, whatever, that nichma avelim, it breaks down the shloishim. That's okay. So Tosfos says, what's the reish? The fact that you have to sleep over, or the fact that it breaks up your avelus. Kuf is a kolban, shin is a shir. Rashi says it's a specific kapitel. Lam Natzech ala Shminis. Tosfos says no. In Gemarrah Sukkah, it brings you a mnemonic that the mnemonic. The shtevus. Yeah. What's it called? It's a shtevus. Pazak Hashav is a mnemonic. So it brings a who?
The military.
Yeah. And I learned the word in the EMT class.
No.
So what's an mnemonic? Oh, you have all these. Anyway, so what's the shtevus? Humvi. What? That's different. That's different mizmorim that they say, and it's apparent that some of the mizmorim are in the same kapitel. So Tosfos says that during Chol Hamoed Sukkos, sometimes they repeat Pashat only half. They only on day one of Chol Hamoed, they only say half the kapitel. Comes Shmini Atzeres. So comes Shmini Atzeres, you say a full kapitel. So Rashi says it's a specific kapitel. Tosfos says it's a full kapitel. When it comes to the base, Rashi says it's benching the king. Tosfos says the base is benching bechas hamazon and davening. As if it's okay. That's Pazak Hashav. But anyways, going back to our Gemarrah, the Rab Meir and Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov learn. One second. They learn from Chag HaMatzah, Chag HaShavuos, Chag HaSukkos the concept of Tashlumin, the fact that Shavuos has another plus 6 days. Shavuos and plus 6 days. The Gemarrah asks about Sukkos. Why don't you learn Sukkos? And the end of the answer is Tfasta mu tafasta. Don't grab too much. Grab what you can hold on to, and therefore we're going to be connected to Pesach that it has plus 6 days, and not to Sukkos that it has plus 7 days. Okay. Now, if that's the case, we said Chag HaMatzos is redundant, Chag HaShavuos is redundant, Chag HaSukkos is redundant. All you used is Chag HaMatzos, Chag HaShavuos. You did nothing with the Chag HaSukkos. The last line of the Gemarrah, the Maseches Rosh Hashana Chag HaSukkos. Why does the Gemarrah bring Chag HaSukkos? And for the Gemarrah, the Kush Chag HaMatzos, to connect it to compare to Chag HaMatzos, Ma Chag HaMatzos turn Lino, just like Pesach, you have to sleep over in Yerushalayim. Af Chag HaSukkos turn Lino, Sukkos also you have to sleep in Yerushalayim. The Hosam and Olam, how do we know by Pesach that you have to sleep in Yerushalayim? The Chsiv, you read it during the Kriyas HaTorah in Pesach, and over there it says, you bring the Korban Pesach, 14, the Yudalat Nisan. Then you have to bring a Korban Oilas Re'iyah and a Korban Chagiga on Tezvav Nisan. Then you go to sleep. But in the morning you wake up and then you actually go home. That's how you learn that you have to sleep over. So now how do you know about Sukkot? So the Gemara is trying to tell us that Sukkot also, this pasuk is said by Pesach, and we make a hekesh to Sukkot itself. The Tosfos asks an interesting question. Any time from the words of Fanisa Baboika, the Sifri learns that any time you bring a korban, you have to sleep in Yerushalayim. So it could be a Monday in Cheshvan, and you bring a korban, you have to sleep that night in Yerushalayim. So what's so special about Sukkot? Why do you need a special pasuk? So the Gemara gives two answers. One answer is
the main pasuk is by Pesach.
The main pasuk is Pesach, yeah. But the pasuk, the Sifri learns the pasuk in Sifri says that it doesn't make a difference. Any time you bring a korban, you have to sleep in Yerushalayim.
So there's no need for a special limit on Sukkot.
Right. That you learn from this pasuk in Pesach that any time you bring a korban, whether you bring eitzim, not even a korban, if you bring wood to the Beis Hamikdash, you sleep. If you bring flour, you sleep. You have to. That's a concept of showing the Eibusha gratitude. You're not just dumping something and running away. You're staying there and you're staying in Yerushalayim. Well, good business.
Wouldn't it be established already? I mean, the Gemarrah comes after the Beis Hamikdash. I mean, either people were doing it or they weren't doing it.
Yeah, but we're trying to find out how do we learn that?
Is that the din though? I mean,
That's it, yeah.
That's what people would do. Anytime.
Yeah, but you would ask someone 1,000 years later, why are you sleeping in Yerushalayim? Oh, I don't know. That's what my father. That's what his father did. But why? So here's the pasuk.
So the person outside, if a person outside of Yisrael is going to go to Beis Hamikdash to bring whatever, even a woman, they bring something for.
They would they would have to be in Yerushalayim that night. The night after being the korban, you have to stay in Yerushalayim. So, if the pasuk teaches anytime you bring anything to Beis Hamikdash, you have to sleep. Why does the pasuk have to teach you a special thing about Sukkot? So, two answers. Number one, it could be that someone sends. He says, "I can't go the first day of Yom Tov. I'm making a shliach. Take my kabbanos, bring it to the Beis Hamikdash, shecht it, do it. I'm going to come to the Beis Hamikdash on Chol HaMoed." So he sent his kabbanos already. So now he's coming to the Beis Hamikdash technically without a korban. Can he just show up in the morning and leave at night? So it tells you that even if you don't bring a korban, you still have to sleep at night. And that's about Pesach. How do we know Sukkot? That's the hekesh. That's one answer. The other answer is, what was the other answer? Oh, the other answer is that there's actually an opinion that on Pesach, you have to sleep 7 days in Yerushalayim. Ufanisa goes on Isra Chag, not on Chol HaMoed, on Isra Chag. That when you come to the Beis Hamikdash, the entire week of Pesach you have to sleep in Yerushalayim. Isra Chag, you get up and go. But that's only Pesach. How do you know Sukkot also? According to that opinion, how do you know Sukkot also? So make a hekesh that Sukkot to the Shavuos and Pesach that you also have to stay, and that Shavuos obviously also you stay the 2 nights. Okay.
It's going to be exciting to find out how God's Klal Yisrael is going to fit into Yerushalayim.
You're saying that's what.
And it's going to stretch.
That's what happened. Are you saying that's what happened during Sukkot? Everybody would say for 7 days straight.
You want to do an investment now, buy a property somewhere.
No, but that's going to go back to the Mishpachas Mustama. All the
and then at that point,
Chabad's main building is not going to be right there.
And at that point, you're not interested in making money. Yes, let's 50 people come to my house. We'll sleep on straw on the floor.
Could you get people? Could a person have one person from a town or a village, and he'll take him because if it's sort of a saying in
you can make shlochim, yeah.
You can.
Yeah.
But this is out. This is both during. Well, this is outside. I'm talking outside of the Yisrael.
Yeah. No. Anytime you're going to come, you have to go sleep in Yerushalayim, especially when you're oiler legal. Especially when it comes to Yom Tov. Okay, Yom Tov, everyone comes during the year. It might be space. Okay. Now that Meir and Abelazar B'Yakov learned the concept of the shlum from the pasuk Chag HaMatzos, Chag HaShavuos, Chag HaSukkos, and they learned the concept of lino, the other stuff. where is the Tanakama, the Pshimen, and the Blazer B'Shimon going to learn the concept of Tashlumim? Again, the Blazer B'Shimon, the Pshimen, and the Tanakama, they learn Chagamatz, Chagashuas, Chagasukas. They tell you what? That you oiver valta achal. If you waited one yontif, sukkos, or you waited 3 yom tovim, any 3, or dafka in order, you oiver. If you didn't bring a kolban, you oiver valta achal. So to use that for valta achal. How is the Pshimen, the Pshimen, and Tanakama going to know that there's a concept of making up on Shavuos? That Shavuos has 1 plus 6 days to make up the kolban. The Tanakama, how do they know that by Shavuos, Sukkos, we all know there's the Shlum, the entire Sukkos. Then we learn the Chagiga. In fact, the Pesach we learn the Chagiga. But how is Shavuos? How do they know Shavuos? The Tani, Nafkalim, the Tani, Rabba Shmuel learned, the Torah says, Menei Yom Mekadosh Chodesh, count days in the month. V'Kadosh Chodesh, and then you'll make a Chodesh a holy day. And then it says also, Menei Yomim, V'Kadosh, it says, the Torah also told us, count days to Shavuos. So on Pesach, you count days to Shavuos, V'Kadosh, it says, and then you're Mekadosh, you make the Shavuos holy. Ma Chodesh Leminuav. How do you count in order to get to the Chodesh? You count day 1, day 2, day 3, until you get to day 29, and the 30th is holy. So Chodesh is Leminuav. Its holiness is according to the count. What do you count? You count 1 day, you count the 2nd day. So the holiness lasts 1 day. Afat said as how do you count Shavuos? You count Shiva Shavuos Tisvelach. You have to count 7 weeks. Afat said as Leminuav, that the entire week is holy, basically holy enough for you to bring a kolban. 1 second. You count Yom Echad. So maybe Shavuos is only 1 day. Do we not count weeks? We count weeks. We say you count both. Our teacher taught us we're supposed to count days and count weeks. And another answer, Chag Shavuos, it says it's called the holiday, the yontif of the weeks. So basically, from here we learn that the entire, just like you count 30 days, and the 30th day is Holy Rosh Chodesh, and it's like it's count day by day. Same thing Shavuos also, the 7th, you count 7 weeks. The 8th week, the entire week is going to be holy enough for you to bring a korban to make up. That's where Tanakama, Rabbi Shimon, and Blazer B'Shimon are going to learn the inyan of Tashlum. Okay. This finishes the Tashlum part. Now we're going to go into a different sugya, and this sugya is about Tumula and Chilufim. We also learned some of it when we learned Tumula. The Braisa on Daf Dalet Amud Aleph on bottom mentioned when we started learning this whole concept of not delaying a korban. It mentioned many different pledges. It mentions Chayav Adamim, Elechin, Chalam, Megdeshes, Chatos, Hashamas, different karbanas, different things that he pledged my worth or someone else's worth, or I'm pledging an item to the Beis HaMikdash, the worth of an item to the Beis HaMikdash, or if I have to bring Korban Chatas, a Korban Asham, or Oil Shlamim. Then it says in between those things, it says also Pesach. It says a Pesach. So and it says that all these items, there's a machlokes. How long do you have until the item is past due? 1 Yom Tov, 2 Yom Tov, 3 in order. The question is Pesach. It doesn't make sense. Pesach, you have exactly 5-6 hours, even less, to bring the Korban Pesach. Afternoon of Yudalet Nisan. That's it. If you miss it, here, if you miss these items, you over alav. What's the worst you can get? Malchus. If you miss a Korban Pesach, it's Kolos. There's no comparison. Why is the Mishnah mentioning Pesach here? Can you bring a Korban Pesach over a count of 1 Yontav, 2 Yontav, 3 Yontav? Pesach zimna kvile. Pesach has a set time. If you brought the Korban, it's good. If you didn't bring the Korban, it's totally pushed off. You lost it. Rav Chizda answer with 2 answers. Rav Chizda says, Pesach kedinos. No, it's a mistake. Pesach is mentioned by mistake. Why is Pesach mentioned by mistake? We say by davening every single day by Kabbanas, Abachoy, V'Amaisa, V'Pesach, Kodesh and Kalim. And it not only by Kabbanas that we mentioned for davening, many times B'Choy, Maisa, and Pesach are always mentioned in unison. So the same thing goes to the Mishnah when it mentioned B'Choy, Maisa, it slipped in Pesach by mistake. That's what the Chizah says. That Pesach Kedinos, it's by mistake, totally unnecessary. Avsheshes comes and teaches us a whole new thing. What? My Pesach. Talking about Shalmei Pesach. We're talking about a Shalmei Pesach. What's a Shalmei Pesach? You designated a lamb to be a Korban Pesach. You walk up to Shalayim. The lamb gets lost. Now you have to bring a Korban Pesach. So you designate another lamb. On the way back, you brought the Korban Pesach. On the way back from Shalayim or whatever, you find the first lamb. What do you do with it? It's holy because it's designated as a Korban. Pesach passed. So the halacha is it turns into a Shlomim. Turns a Korban Shlomim. Now what? You can bring it to Midrash, eat it, and bring it to the Mizbech. Half gets eaten by some by Mizbech, some by the Kahanim, some the owner eats. It becomes a Korban Shlomim. So now, when it says Pesach, he meant Shalmei Pesach. That this Korban now, you have either one Yontev, 2 Yom Tovim, or 3 Yom Tovim to bring it. You can't push it off too much. Okay? So the Gemarrah asks a simple question. If it's considered a Korban Shlomim, we mentioned Shlomim. We mentioned Shlomim, and we don't have to mention Pesach again. It's a Korban Shlomim. And for the Gemarrah to know, it's 2 different types of Shlomim. Shlomim Aboy Machmas Pesach. The Shlomim by itself, a Korban Shlomim, and the Shlomim that check this Korban that Nebuch, he lost the sheep, he lost the lamb, and then he found it again, it becomes a Shalmei Pesach. Why would it be different? I would have thought, because this Shlomim, how did it happen? How did it become a Shlomim? Because it used to be a Korban Pesach, therefore, Pesach Dama, it should be just like Korban Pesach. Pesach, you have to bring it right away. So the Shlom also, you have to bring it right away. You don't even have more than 1 yontif to bring it. You have to bring it right away. Kamash Malon, this Mishnah is coming to teach you that if you transfer the Kedusha of a Pesach into another Korban, and this becomes a Shalmei Pesach, you also have 3 Yom Tovim, according to the Shimon, Tanakama, and according to the Meir, 1 yontif, etc. But basically, don't think it's like a Korban Pesach, it's like its own Shlomim. Now we're going to talk about how do we know this whole inyan of Baal Ta'acha? How do we know that there's a concept that if you don't bring it on time, you're over Baal Ta'acha? How do we know this? The pasuk, the Chum learned. They took a pasuk and dissected it piece by piece because many words in this pasuk were not necessary. The pasuk reads like this: if you make a vow for the Eibishter, do not delay its payment. The Eibishter will request it from you. You don't have a sin. So many things are redundant here. Say Kisidar Hashem when you make a neder. Why do you have to say don't delay its payment? Don't delay the payment. Take away the vav is redundant. The Eibishter is requested. I mean, what kind of words Eibishter is requested? Me'imach from you. The Eibishter is requested. From who? From a different person, obviously from you. And you have to tell us you're going to have a sin if you are even ask it. All this is psukim words that you need to start explaining. Tana Abanim. Kasida Neda. If you make a vow, if you vow and make a vow, Ein Leil al Neder. This is only goes on a Neder. How do we know that it also includes a Neder? The neder is, what's the difference in neder and nedava? Neder is like kolban, that I have to bring a kolban. Nedava is that this animal is a kolban. The difference is if the korban gets lost. If I said I have to bring a kolban, doesn't make a difference how many animals get lost. I still have to bring the kolban. If I say this animal is a kolban, this animal gets lost. What should I do? But basically, neder and nedava. How do we know neder and nedava? It says the word neder here, which is redundant. And a different pasuk it says neder nedava zevach korbanoi. So neder and nedava always go together. So neder and nedava go together. It doesn't make a difference what type of pledge you did. I should have to bring. This animal should be a korban. Always go together. Tess asks a question that the second pasuk that the Gemarrah uses for this Gzera Shava is a pasuk in a vehicle. The first Kisida Neder is a pasuk in the Vadim. Im Neder Nadav is a pasuk in vehicle. Tais asks a simple question. Just look in the same Vadim, in the same chapter, a couple psukim later, it says Nadava Kashnidata Nadava V'ficha. It says the word Neder, it says the word Nadava. Why do you have to go to a pasuk in vehicle? Tais does not answer the question. It stays as a question. Anyways, what is the Kisida Neder? The Kisida Neder teaches you The neder, the Siddur neder means a neder and a davar go together. Lashem Elikecha. Just say Lashem. What does it mean? Lashem Elikecha, you are God. So what is it coming to teach you? It teaches you anything that belongs fully to Hashem. Elu hadamim v'ha'elechim v'chalam v'akdeshes. These are any monetary pledges, your self-worth or someone else's worth, or if you consecrated an item to the Beis Hamikdash, it's fully for the Eibishter, that's Lashem Elikecha. Lo yisachel l'shal moi, don't delay its payment. What do you mean its payment? Don't delay the payment. Hu v'lo chilufav. Its payment, if you don't pay up that korban within the 3 months, within the 3 Yom Tovim, that's when you have an Aveda. But if you switch the korban for another animal, for whatever reason that is, you don't have that limit of 1 Yom Tov, 2 Yom Tov, 3 Yom Tovim. Kidash Ashana, what do you mean the Eibishter requested? What does it mean? The Eibishter requests the kabbanis that you have to bring. If you pledged an oila shlamim, or if you made a sin, you have to bring a korban. The Eibishter is going to request you to bring it. Hashem Elikecha, again it mentions Hashem Elikecha, that's totally redundant. We just mentioned Hashem Elikecha before. Elo shikcho peyam. Elo tzedakah s'maisa s'b'chayil. By tzedakah, but maisa b'chayil, it says the word Hashem Elikecha. So we learned these 3 items from Hashem Elikecha. Second one. Me'imach, he's going to request from you, obviously from you, who's going to request from a friend. So leka chikhapeya, that goes on when you have to leave behind in the field, and over there it says, as on the imach, you should always remember the poor man imach with you. So he uses the word imach. So imach, you learned leka chikhapeya. Vayibachached, you will have a sin. What does it come to teach you? You have the sin, but the animal still has to be brought to as a korban, and it's still good to go. Okay, so that's how we learn that all these items that we mentioned before, all these items we mentioned on Daf Daled Amud Aleph, all these items have if you don't bring it within a certain time, you're over. Interestingly, he does not bring Pesach in here. He goes through everything, and it goes B'chol Maisa, skips Pesach, and goes to like a chicken peah. We must say that this goes according to Rav Chiza's answer that the Pesach Kedina, so the Pesach was still mentioned, but not Rav Sheshes that says it Shalmei Pesach. But now the Gemarrah asks a different question. Explain to me what is hu v'lo chilufav. You have a korban, you have to, for some reason, you exchange the korban onto a different animal. So the original korban, if you don't bring it within its time, you oivel atachem. The stand-in korban, you're not oivel. What kind of korban are we talking about? Mai I chilufav. Chilufa. What instead of what? If you had a korban oila, the korban oila got lost. You designated another korban oila. Then you found the first korban oila. The second animal, the stand-in animal, is still a korban oila. So you'll still apply. It's still a korban oila. Same thing goes to shlamim. If you designate the shlamim, you got lost. You designate the second animal as a shlamim. You found the first one. The second animal is still a korban shlamim, and you still have to bring it. So it can't be talking about the chilufim of such a korban. Bring it in time. You have a month, 2 months, or 3 months. But if you designate an animal for a korban chatas, you made a sin, you have to bring a korban chatas. You designated an animal, you lost the animal. You designated another animal because you want to bring a korban chatas, you want to be forgiven. Then you found the first animal, so you bring the first animal to the mizbeach, and the second animal, what are you going to do with it? You can't bring it as a korban chatas because a chatas is connected to a specific sin. You already brought the korban for this veda, for the sin. You can't do anything with it. We learned in Tamuda that these chatos, what do? You send it out. Some of them you send out to pasture until it gets a mum. These chatos, you actually put it into a cage and let it starve to death. It's called chatas amoses. So if it's an animal that was a korban that is instead of a korban chatas, then he found the original chatas. Is lamisa. This goes to it dies. We're talking about a korban toida. Someone traveled through the desert or traveled overseas, and then he came back. Someone was sick and became healthy, or was in jail and came out. He has to be in korban toida. Korban toida has to be brought with a certain amount of bread. The halacha is that if you designate an animal for the korban toida, you have to bring the bread with it. If that animal gets lost, and you transfer the kedusha to a second animal, that second animal does not come with all the bread. You don't bring with all the bread offerings. So what happens like this? The Tani, Toida shenis avod noasa. So what you had a kalban toida, an animal, an ox. So kalban toida, and you had bread, and you lost the ox, you lost the animal. Or the animal got a blemish, or for whatever reason you switched to another animal, and then you have then all of a sudden you find the first animal. Now you have two animals standing in front of you. They're both kalban toidas, and you have the bread with it. So if you have both of them standing, good. You know which one is the original one. Bring the original one with the bread, and bring the other one without the bread. What if they got mixed up? I don't know which one is the original one, which is the second one. So what are you going to do? So the halacha is bring both. Bring both, and bring the bread, and say, if this one is the original one, the bread belongs to this. If this one is the original one, bring the bread belongs to this. What if if they get mixed up and one of them dies? So you have two animals. One of them is the original kalban toida. One of them is the standing kalban toida. One of them you have to bring with bread. One of them you cannot bring with bread. You don't know which one is which, and one of them dies. Now I don't know which one died. You can't bring this animal with the bread, with the lachme toida, because maybe it's the standing. You can't bring without, because maybe it's the original. What do? Ain't that takana? You can't do anything about it. That got mixed up with its stand-in. And one of them dies, we don't know which one. You cannot do anything with the other animal. What should he do? Should he bring a kalban and bring the bread with it? Maybe it's the other animal that you don't bring the bread. Maybe you bring it without the bread. And you have to bring the bread. So here the Gemarrah is teaching you that such an animal, because you can't bring it to the Beis Hamikdash, you can't bring it to Mizbeach, but it's a kalban toida, but you can bring it. You're not oivel of Balta Achad if 3 Yom Tov pass by. So a simple question: if I can't bring it to the Mizbeach, why am I oivel lekatchila? Why would I be transgressing the aver of Balta Achad? I can't bring it to the Beis Hamikdash. And then we're going to finish with this. Because you cannot bring this kalban to the Mizbeach. Why do you need a pasuk to tell us that you're not oivel? Rav Sheish's answer, we're going to go all the way back. It's coming to tell you, it's talking about a kalban oila, kalban shlam that you lost. You designated a second animal for the kalban oila, kalban shlamim, and you found the first one. What are you going to do with the second one? The second one is considered a oila. It's considered a shlamim. You can bring it to the Mizbeach. But here, it's very interesting. I guess we can do like so. It goes the whole thing. When did you lose it? When did you find it? Maybe you should count a whole different thing. We'll start that next week.